Hey folks, Vic here for thepracticalprepper.com. Welcome me back to another video here. Doing kind of a swale update. We hadn't really talked, I hadn't put anything up in a while. Partly due to all this this white cover we have. Had some pretty good snowstorms here in Nevada, and we probably got about a foot of snow right where we are. So as you can see, it's December 12th, it's just kind of starting to melt off. It basically had blanketed and covered everything for about the past 2 weeks. So what you see on here in front of you is the main swale below and the toe swale up above. And what I did with those prior to the storms coming in, I was able to go through and do a chop and drop on all of the cover crop that we planted. And then I have about, there's a big pile down here, I'll show you. It's about 20 yards of wood chips I got from our local arborist. So my plan was to reform and refit the soil around some of the swales, then at the same time to come back in, chop and drop, and then go ahead and do the cover with the wood chips. And that would pretty much set me for the winter, and I'll start things up in spring. I didn't quite get to it. The winds came up quick, and once the winds come up here, you can forget trying to spread out wood chips or straw. It's just a exercise in futility. So I put the kibosh on that. We'll do it as soon as the snow melts. I can get back in here. I'll come down with the tractor. We'll scoop up. We'll start getting some wood chips out. There were a couple spots where we had some pretty good damage from deer, and that's going to be one of our big projects for this upcoming year, is to get ourselves a 6-foot high welded wire and then double strands above that. So the top will run around 8 feet. And that should do it. If that doesn't, then I have some other ideas to modify that fence structure slightly to keep the deer out. But I think the 8-foot does. We've got 5 foot around the guard animal, and the deer have never jumped and got into there when we have the garden there. So I think if we do that, that'll be good. It'll let us do some other things. Maybe doing a chicken tractor down here, bringing our birds down during the summer, and putting probably a little temporary coop house for them, and then they can get in there during the night, and then we'll kind of run those around. So we'll probably do that. Most everything else that you see out here that stood up is protected from sun scald, especially the young fruit trees. I am going to have some loss. I don't know how much yet, but I'm just about to start my order for next year with the different nurseries. I'll go to Burnt Ridge. I'll get some stuff out of the Nevada State Nursery when they open. That's usually in April or May. They'll open up. But I use Burnt Ridge. I'll use our local apple guy, Michael Janik, for some other replacement apple trees, and maybe try some other fruits. And I think I want to put more berries in. I want to put more blackberries and raspberries in this year. We've got quite a few, and they've actually done pretty well. The deer did do some damage, and that's the reason for the fence. I could have just as easily put my blind up in here and put venison in the freezer quietly, but that's not legal, so we don't do that. Bo's awful quiet, but you know, I try to stay within the law. And I wasn't able to draw a tag for this, and there's no depredation because we don't have 100 acres in livestock, so whole nother story. Anyway, so most of the plants are completely protected. A lot of them did extremely well. We lost some, but I figured we were going to. They weren't the healthiest of plants when we put them in the ground, and they just didn't make it. They just didn't have enough strength. I'm trying a couple things, and one is held on, a banana yucca. I'm trying. It's real small. We'll see if it catches fire next year and really starts growing. I think some of the things we put in the ground had some plant shock. So I think what we're going to see in the spring is they're going to have a better firm hold, more comfortable, and I think we're going to see some better growth. Rusty, come here. So this is Rusty's playground, and she has done really well. Short-haired dog, we rescued her, and she's on a wired perimeter, but it's kind of her domain, and she definitely keeps the rabbits out of here, and so we'll see. I wanted to talk real quick about grass. Now, I did the inner swale grass, so we did it between the main swale and the toe swale from the end here, the south end, over to about where you see the wood chip pile. So we did that area. I also did this area right up here above this toe swale. I wanted this area to come and grass in so we could start holding soil on the upper slope. I also did it, this is the road, kind of standing right on the road here, that goes down, and the property line is pretty much where your that camera's sitting. This area in here I also seeded back in here, so if we get some growth, it's going to help hold that soil and push that thistle out, which was the main plan. But what I noticed was, prior to those storms coming in, I was standing down below where the wood chips are, and I could look up here and I could see green all over where the snow is right now. So this grass was coming in gangbusters, and I was really excited. Down below, I could start seeing the green. It's like that was taking a little bit more time. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this grass comes in, but you can kind of see way over there with the grass, and that'll all come back in heavy again next year. And if I can get more of it growing in here, we're trying to reclaim this and get rid of this thistle and start getting crops in here we want. And then the other thing we're looking for in between that inner swale area is I'm thinking about some hops production and running them horizontally like we would on grapes. They've had really good success up here, and the price they're paying for hops isn't too bad either, especially if you get some nice strains. You know, we have a big push here for Grow Nevada, Buy Nevada, and Governor's Wool behind it. And so there is a big demand for Nevada grown specialty items and niche items. Hops happen to be one of them. And we're thinking about doing that. So we're going to have modifications to the irrigation. I'll probably add in another 4-zone station so that I can pick up different things, and I can come down and I can pick up, I'll probably trench down and I'll run the water in for these hops underground. And so we're thinking of that. Right in here, I'm thinking we'll put, I want to plant some taller trees that will give us a better windbreak. Our wind is predictably this direction when we get storms coming in. So if I can put some trees in here, they won't really block our view, but they will really help slow that wind down when it gets down toward the swales. So that's kind of the plan. What I think I'll do right now with you is I'll just take the camera portable and we'll walk around and talk, and I'll kind of show you where things are at, and we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens in spring. I'm excited. You know, it was a lot of work getting everything in the first year, and you know, we busted ass on a bunch of projects here so that I could get all that done. And since I'm doing it myself, everything just takes a little bit more time. But you know, put your shoulder to it and you can get it done. We're real happy with all the things that got done and all the things that are happening, especially we're getting great egg production from the chickens. We'll be starting to sell eggs here in about, well, less than a week. I've got the sign here, and now I'm just printing up some stickers for cartons, and we're going to start selling eggs. So we'll see how that goes, but maybe that will help at least pay for the egg and the chickens and the feed and all the other stuff, so it goes with it. But we're pretty happy the first year. I think the second year is going to be interesting. Now we're trying to really form, we're getting a better idea of what we want and direction and what's working and what's not working. You know, with permaculture, you do something, you wait and you see, you change, you modify, you think about what you want to do. And I think going into this next year, we're going to have a lot better idea of what we want to do. And let's face it, this is not the best, this is a tough environment to do things in, but it can be done. If they can do it in Egypt, if they can do it in Africa, and they can use these principles to do it, then we can do it here, and we're going to make sure that it does happen here. So let's take a walk around. I'll kind of show you what's going on, talk a bit. If you got some comments or questions, feel free to throw them up on the site, and we'll answer them as best I can. Okay, let's go take a look. Alright, coming off camera. Oh, sorry, coming off. You know, I think I might just try to carry the whole thing. I'll stand by here a minute. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's just take a walk down here. What I'd like to do. Something like that. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of the roadway down the edge. You can see I'm definitely kicking up the snow here. So let's take a quick peek. This is the tow swale down here to the end, and of course this is the area that I've just talked about right here where I did all the grass, this whole area right here. And then we're talking about putting windbreak trees right along below this berm. So you can see how much snow's on the swale, and then everything above it runs to here. So I expect when we get a good melt here, all that moisture is going right in the swales, right where we want it. So we found some interesting native plants that are working well, and we're leaving those on that upper berm. And what I want to do, excuse me, is get more grass up in there as well. So the fruit trees are looking pretty good. This one on the end right here is this is a meteor cherry, and it actually did really well out here. I think up the line here there's a 1 or 2 apple that I lost. One of them the deer almost crushed. It was just bizarre. So this right here, this is that's our 20 yards of wood chips right there. And we'll be putting that all over here pretty quick. So here's the inner swale. In this area, if I can get to grass, this is really pretty wide. If I can get this to grass, I'll be pretty happy. You know, I could leave myself room to drive through here and put hops below and put hops above with a roadway to get through and access. Should be pretty nice. That's the rolling dip. You can kind of just see where I've got rocks here. I managed to get a small amount of rocks on the end wall, and I'm going to have some imported here, some 2x6 rock to finish it out. It will pretty much run all the way up this thing to the turn. So as water comes down, it will slow it to a sheet, and then it will be able to flow over. And my plan is right up in front here to get grass and get some other cover to hold the soil. Now this was the end of the main swale. This is the end I had to rebuild. They basically really tore this thing to pieces. And I had to put a bunch of soil back in to reform this end. And then I did the chop and drop, and then you can see we've got I managed to get some wood chips on the end here, so that was helpful. But yep, all the swales look pretty good. Let's actually walk back here along the top of the main swale. Rusty's busy looking for lizards. Yeah, some kind of weed here. But let me see if I can show you real quick here. But if you'll see that, there's a silver tag, the plant's inside and protected, and if I'm right, this is an indigo. Yep, that's an indigo bush. The false indigos I had a problem with. The bush clover didn't do well. Just wasn't very strong. I don't think we had real viable plants. I can hear the quail. Soaking that puppy right there. Yep, there they go. Here they come. So here's one of this is the middle spillway. Right below my foot here is all rock. Oh, there's a watering can. Tells you how good the winds are. It just picks things up and throws them every which way. So I'm really, I tell you, I'm really proud of this rock end that I built on each end of the culvert. That's all native rock, and it came from way up on top of the property. We own up over the top of the hill, so that's where it came from. Up there with the tractor, throwing the stuff in, and it was pretty cool to do that. It was it was fun. It looks cool, and it's very useful. So this is the north end of the swale. You can kind of see. Yeah, I gotta retie this one up. This is some damage that was done, and it's not very recent. This was done a little while ago, and this is one of my black locust trees. And looking at the way this was done, the damage, this was done by deer. This was a buck working his horns, and he snapped off a bunch of branches on me. It's the reason I have to get the deer out of here. So I'll come back in and I'll retie this. Yeah, see, this has been since I put the cover on this. They actually ripped the cover off, and you know, now I can just hope this one's going to survive. But I'll retie it. We'll see what happens. So all in all, lots of snow. And like I say, there's not a lot I can do down here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to modify this water. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put another manifold here. And I can run it off the same incoming water line. In fact, these have a fitting on the end, right here on the end of this manifold. I can take this off, put an adapter fitting to come around, maybe build another wall section on this end, put another manifold set here. Because right now I don't have much I can expand with. But that's kind of where we stand. So let's cruise up here and we'll take a quick look from the north end of the tow swale. These tracks are pretty much all Rusty's tracks. And occasional other dogs that come through, but pretty much hit hers. She definitely runs this every day and really has a lot of fun down here. So this is another meteor cherry here, and these have done really well. These were slightly larger trees, but they've done fine. So we'll see how they come out. So if you kind of look at this way upper area, so if I can get that all to grass in, and then get all this area over here to grass in, that's going to be pretty impressive. And I've got so much seed in here just from chop and drop with the other cover crop that I've got all that coming back up again. So that'll be nice. And then I've got new plantings I want to do. I haven't figured out which ones yet, but I'm going through my list here, and I'll be doing my order here probably the next week. I need to get it in. Earlier the better, because they do run out of stuff. So there's our latest report, mid-December. We'll probably do one in January, just because there's not a lot going on down here with the snow. And we'll go from there. So thanks for joining me, and we'll keep you updated on what we're doing here on the homestead in Nevada. See ya.